So I spent a ridiculous amount of time today trying to screw a pipe into a board. Yeah, there's just ridiculous amount of time doing that. Working on an awesome rig for training here at the new training site, and it's going to be a fantastic rig. But yeah, screwing a 1.25 inch pipe into an 1.25 inch hole is extremely extremely painstaking. It sucks. It took me like 2 hours to do it and get it right. But now that it's done, I have to do another one tomorrow. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about intensity. I was feeling it in my shoulders, running the pipe wrench over and over and over again, moving the pipe at a millimeter every turn. And it's ridiculous, but it takes a little bit of endurance and it takes a little bit of strength. It causes an energy expenditure. And what I wanted to talk about once again is intensity. It's your training intensity. Regardless of what you're doing, you have to be mindful of your intensity. Can you work out every day? Absolutely. Can you do the same workout every day, depending on intensity? Sure. Do I recommend it? No, I think you need a lot of variety. But there's a term in the strength and conditioning world that people use called periodization. And periodization is just simply segmenting your workouts according to intensity, sets and reps, timing, all that. Because you can't do everything all at once all the time. So, great example, can you do a max deadlift every single day? Probably not wise. You're probably going to screw yourself up pretty bad, head into overtraining syndrome. But can you do deadlifts every day? Sure. Do heavy deadlifts one day, do lighter deadlifts the next day. Keep on going back and forth, or in a light, heavy, medium mode, or a light, heavy, medium rest day mode. You can play around with it. There's a lot of modalities out there, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you which one's the best. I don't know which one's the best. I kind of have ADD with this stuff, and I skip around all over the place. But find a way to go high to low. You have to follow this kind of sine wave that that will bring you better gains and better recovery. Because you got to remember, your muscles build, your tendons build, your nervous system builds in the rest and recovery periods, not during the time when you're expending the energy. Expending the energy is only giving a stimulus. It's providing the stress that is telling your nervous system, hey, you need to do something about this because this is too hard. Nature likes the path of least resistance. So as you continue to work out, you rewire. Your body fortifies itself and makes it so that these things that you are continuously putting yourself through are a bit easier on you. So as you're starting out, maybe it's really, really hard to bench press 125 pounds. I know when I started when I was a teenager, it was really hard. Now, 125 pounds ain't much. You can practically throw the weight off the bench and do like plyometric bench press. I don't recommend that. Don't do that. But the point is that your body rewires and it restructures itself over and over and over again, continuously, and it adapts to the stress. Now, mind you, all those enhancements will back off because all those enhancements come at an energy cost. And if you stop providing that stress for your body, you will lose those gains. So you have to follow that sine wave pattern, like I was saying, in some way, shape, or form. And vary your intensity, vary your skill set, your movement patterns and all that over and over and over and over again. And that way you have these moments of stimulus and moments of adaptation. Moments of stimulus, moments of adaptation. That's really what you're looking for with all this. We do it in martial arts as well as we do it in strength and conditioning, as well as we do it even in nutrition. You're going to find that you have these really peak periods where you can just produce, and that's great. But you can't produce all the time, and you've got to let your resources have a chance to regenerate. People talk about sustainable resources all the time. Sorry, my dog's whining. People talk about sustainable resources all the time. Well, it's the same thing with your body, with your nutrition and all that. Your internal resources are finite, and they need a chance to replenish. So if you just use them all up and then try to keep on pushing and pushing and pushing, eventually you're going to just hurt yourself, and then your body's going to shut down and say, look, I don't want to go again. And that's where we start getting into what people call overtraining syndrome, and overtraining can take a couple of months or longer to recover from, depending on how badly you segued into it. So just keep it in mind and vary your stuff up once in a while. Don't go at 100% all the time. Some days will be 100%, some days will be 80%, some days will be 10%. That's okay. Don't feel bad about the 10% days. Just focus on what you need to focus on, take care of business, and move on. Till next time, good journey.